All right, everybody, welcome back to Get in the Garage.
We're the music podcast.
For music lovers.
It is time for our new album review. This week, Luke, would you like to tell us what we listened to?
Yes, I would. We have the new studio album by the Gorillaz, which is the project from Damien Albarn and Jamie Hewlett. I wanted to get that correct. And this is their new studio album. It is called Cracker Island. It is full of, well, it has some features in it. I know they've been a feature-heavy band, but the gang is back. Cartoon characters in full. We have 2D, Murdoch, Noodle, and Russell on the drums. So the fake real band is back at it again. And features on this album include Thundercat, Stevie Nicks. We have Bad Bunny on here, and Beck, a collaborator before, has come back again. And yeah, this is the new album, Cracker Island. I thought it was an interesting record. And what did you guys think?
10 tracks, 37 minutes, good length of album, as we discuss time and time again. We think the 37 to 44 minute is kind of like the sweet spot for albums. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed the sound of this record. It was produced by Damon Albarn, by Greg Kurstin, who is known for his work with Adele, with Sia, with Kelly Clarkson, with Pink. He is like one of the big pop producers of the past decade, won Producer of the Year, Grammys multiple times. And also Remy Kabaka Jr., I believe that's his name, is the live drummer for Gorillaz. He produced the Bad Bunny track and a couple other ones. I liked this as like kind of the Gorillaz thing, which is like chilled out hip-hop kind of music made by rock kind of dudes. Fun fact, Damon Albarn is older now than like Elton John was in the mid-90s. When we think about like,
Wow.
Damon Albarn's 55 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
I did not realize this.
Yeah, I didn't know that either.
Yeah.
Wow, that is.
But he's like a perpetual 25-year-old.
I feel
like,
the same way.
Yeah.
Like he basically looks like mid-90s Elton John trying to be in mid-90s Beastie Boys. Like that's that's how he operates. Like kind of like, yeah, I'm just like the cool old guy who, with my gold teeth put in and
Just kind of doing his thing.
Yeah, wearing orange sunglasses and stuff. He's a cool cat, and he's still vocally like doing the Damon Albarn cool thing, which is like, very laid back and casual and droll and like too cool for school, but in like a fun way. And
Yeah, and I would also like to note that the art of the Gorillaz has been progressing as well, which is something I really took note of on this record. They have all aged. Like Jeff said, like he is 55 years old. The Gorillaz have aged. Like Noodle, the guitar player, was drawn as a young girl, about like 13 or 11 when the first album came out in 1999. Now she's like age 30 years old, which is interesting. All of them have bags in their eyes and like some receding hair. So I thought that was like an interesting take on like where they are in age as well. They made the band age.
Yeah, I like the record. I mean, as far as to say that I wouldn't necessarily consider myself a huge Gorillaz fan per se, in the way that I'm not really somebody who has like tracked the albums very much. I know the hits. I know, it's a couple extra tracks maybe off of the first record, a couple extra tracks off of Demon Days, right? That
Correct.
record. This record, there it is. Yeah, this record, I thought it was all right. In comparison to the first album and Demon Days, those being the ones that I have the most reference to, I would say it is the weakest of the three, in my personal opinion. If I'm picking nits, I did feel like it was a little bit one-note-ish in some points. I also felt like maybe some of that sort of like dark, kind of brutishy, sort of like fringy feel that you got with those two other records. We didn't get that as much, I felt. I mean, lyrically speaking, there was definitely some doom and gloom in the lyrics interwoven in there. But as for just the instrumental sound of the album, I felt like there was more levity, a little bit more, like a little bit happier,
brighter,
sort of
sunnier.
sounding songs, not as much minor key stuff. I thought the features were cool. I liked the Thundercat feature. I thought the Bad Bunny feature was all right. I didn't love the Stevie Nicks feature, but also I'm not a huge fan of Stevie Nicks' voice as a whole anyway. I mean, Rumors is great and all that stuff, but on here I felt like it didn't really connect as much for me. I like the Tim Impala feature though. I thought that song was cool. You
There's
know,
the Tame. I mean, I love Kevin Parker. The Tame Impala feature was a little bit of like a hat on a hat for me because
yeah,
this album sounded like heavily influenced by the last two Tame Impala records,
right.
which is very like chilled out synth beds and kind of like not dance music but like nod your head music.
Yes, I felt that way about a lot of this record. For me, I'm a big Gorillaz fan. I'm gonna say I really like the Gorillaz. I like the whole thing. For me, they were like a band that would take the artists that they hadn't featured and kind of put them in a place where they hadn't been before, more of like a rock band setting that was doing at like some of the things that they did. And so it made a very interesting like chocolate and peanut butter a lot of the times, and formed kind of new sounds that you really hadn't heard at the time. I'm talking the first two records, Plastic Beach too as well, throw that in there. On this one, I felt like it was more of a reaction to what's been going on in pop music. Like Jeff said, like that was kind of a hat on a hat. Like I felt like that song New Gold featuring Tame Impala was more of like a Tame Impala song featuring the Gorillaz, which is, it is what it is on that. But I did on that song love the Booty Brown feature, which I thought brought a lot of life and energy into the, a record that I thought was missing some of that hip hop stuff that the Gorillaz had done so well before. So I didn't like love this record. I had some things of issue with it, and I felt the same way about Cracker Island. That to me, like, Thundercat's such a great bass player and can come up with these like unique and original grooves and ideas, which I feel like the Gorillaz have been before. And for me, this was like a modern-y dance song where Thundercat really wasn't used to all of Thundercatness.
Oh, I liked that
See,
because
that,
I like
love
his
that record-
singing.
that track too. Yeah,
Yeah, I like his singing. I don't even know if he played bass on that track. I think he only sang.
I think he does. I think at the very end you hear him
Yeah.
just doing like.
Oh, okay. Sure.
He
But
does, like,
that's
crazy
what
runs
it's
and stuff.
very kind of buried in there, and I
Yeah,
just wanted some more like more personality inflected in there, because I kind of felt like a lot of the songs were more just like modern dancey songs, which wasn't bad, but I kind of wanted that weird Gorillaz shake up flavor.
Yeah, I'm not too familiar with Gorillaz beyond the self-titled Demon Days and Plastic Beach, which I think Plastic Beach was like 2009 or 2010.
I think it's 2010.
I haven't listened to their last decade plus of stuff, but I did like a lot of these tracks. I liked the song the Tired Influencer, which is like super chilled out, like a sea of synths. Kind of like, to me, it's like the most emblematic of this album. Like, it's kind of what the rest of the album sounds like. I liked the song Silent Running, which featured Adeleye Omatayo on vocals, which is like, Adeleye is one of the singers in the Gorillaz live like backing choir. I thought that was like just an interesting track. I think that's kind of like the single off this album. I like the song Skinny Ape, which was this like minimal bleep bloopy synth bass thing, and then it like kind of exploded in the middle, and it got into this like really choppy, gated, like pushed, driving, like almost punky, dancey type of thing.
Yep.
I like the Bad Bunny feature, Tormenta, but like it kind of just felt like an interlude. It was like maybe a 2.5 minute song. But Bad Bunny, like, I think what Bad Bunny does and how his vocals sound and the production style, I think fit well on this album, which was very light and kind of summery, and like it didn't have that undercoat of darkness that a lot of the early Gorillaz stuff has. So I liked more of this album than I disliked. Like, really, it's kind of like great background music that you can key into if you want to. Because
that's how I felt. Too,
like there's 5 standout tracks, I think, and then there's 3 that are background, and maybe like 2 that are just like whatever. I don't know.
I felt a little more hard and disappointed with this record, where I was like, I really thought that I still think that the Gorillaz can really like bring in new eras of music and new sounds, and I just was looking for something else on here. I did like some of the stuff, like is that song called Tarantula?
Yeah,
sure.
That song, it was great and hooky, had that good pop chorus. It reminded me a little bit sonically of Sweetest Pie by oh my god, Megan Thee Stallion. So it kind of had like that kind of pop groove to it, but it's like slower. I really liked the love song to it. I thought that was kind of more on the groove. Did you guys like kind of like you said the album's theme is kind of like the Tired Influence theme? For me, this was my actual main dig with this record was like the songs and the beats for me were interesting enough, but the lyrically I thought this like cracked screen, like doomy computer is taking over our thoughts, and I felt like Radiohead maybe had done that idea to a much better and earlier before. And so for me to hear it on something like this, I'm like, that feels a little like not on point or not where I want them to be. I feel like that's like a dated thought. Like we've all known that, and like we kind of have already talked about that musically. And I kind of wanted, and if you do feel that way, maybe like some rejoicing out of it, because it was kind of just like, here's the problem, and no like,
he's like a grandpa, man. He's so fucking old. Like
I know.
This is not his like pop music. Ain't his. I mean, I thought the record was good, but like perspective and the voice of a generation, like this ain't his generation anymore.
That's what I'm saying.
No, it's most certainly not.
And I feel like maybe I just wanted something more like interesting and like the rock.
Sure,
pop.
interesting. I could have taken more interesting.
I could have used like some more guitars and some more bridges in there.
Sure.
But that's kind of that's how I felt about it. And this is coming from someone that I really do like this band. So it was just something I didn't love, but I found some pieces in there that I really did like that song Tarantula. I liked Baby Queen. I thought was cool.
Those are the two that I would skip. Those two songs are my skips.
Those are the ones I was more into because it was
Yeah.
more like a different kind of theme, and I could get into like more of like what they were like coming at on those kind of songs.
Did you like the closer, the duet with Beck? I thought it was.
I actually like that one. I like
I
the
thought it was a
mariachi
good-
style
yeah,
thing
with
at
the
the
trumpet
end.
and
Yeah, yeah.
And I think their
like that.
voices and like just the whole approach to it being a duet was like done really well as like the closing thing of an album.
Yeah, it's funny. This is kind of like a split record, I think, in terms of what we like and what we don't like. Because I wasn't like a huge fan of Silent Running. I thought that whistle was a rip.
Oh, I loved the whistle.
Oh,
but it was such
okay.
a rip on what was that? What's that song?
Yes, Young Folks by Peter, Bjorn, and John. So when I listened to that, I was like, this sounds like that song Young Folks. And then they started whistling, and I was like, this sounds exactly like that song Young Folks.
Nobody was credited for the whistle too. I don't know who did the whistling.
Oh, I wonder who. Some
Whoever.
huge name, someone. But I like Possession Island though. I know that's like but I loved Cracker Island. I thought I liked that
funky.
song. That first
That's an
song,
opener.
I love that song. I really really like that song. Skinny Ape, like you had said too. It's because that slow to fast kind of thing.
I think a big thing too is like we talk about a lot on these new records. Like I'm not even gonna think about what these lyrics are for 2 months.
Yeah,
like it's just not what I think about when I listen to new stuff, really. And Luke dives into the words and stuff.
Yeah, so like I'm getting in there. I really like. I want to, because like on the first listen, I was like, oh, this is okay, but I kind of want to really get in there and see what the album's themed like and how it really is gonna, I think, marinate over time. And so for me, I just wanted like a more interesting theme and some beats that were a little less static. I felt like a lot of the beats on here were staticky and kind of turnaroundy. So
yeah, I liked that dark underbelly gritty thing that you got from the early
You're talking
stuff.
about being 30 years old.
Yeah.
That's what they're missing.
Yeah, I suppose that's what it is. I guess that's what it is. When I listened to this, I was like trying to think to him, like, what is my opinion of this record?
Well,
This is
And
like
for a
cool
minute-
dad music.
and for a minute, I almost felt like I don't really have an opinion of this record, and I thought like that is kind of a bad thing. Like I don't think that's because it's like I look, man, I enjoy loving an album. I enjoy hating an album, but having a non-opinion about an album is a red flag for me because I'm like, oh well, then
Be
what is
bad,
this?
don't be boring.
Right, that's what I mean. And there were moments where I kind of felt myself kind of being bored. But, I mean, you said it too, and I had the thought as well where I'm like, well, this is okay background music. Like, if you're kind of hanging out, in the summertime and you're having a fire and everyone's just kind of hanging out and vibing and having a good time, this is a record that you can put on and everybody will be like, oh, this is a pleasant thing to have on in the background, And we say this all the time. Background music is not a dig. That is not a dig as far as when we talk about if an album is a background music style album or not. I don't feel like this is, but. Or I feel like this is, but like for example, if you put on the early stuff and like Clint Eastwood comes on, everyone's like, "Oh shit," you know what I mean? Or like that's and to me, I don't know that any of the songs on this record, however many years from now, are going to be where one of the songs come on and everyone goes, "Oh shit, this is that Thundercat cut." You know what I mean? They'll be like, "Oh yeah, this is a cool song. Thundercat was on this."
No
track. This
songs
is cool.
by 55-year-old guys are ever hit songs.
Yeah,
it's
I
never
suppose.
been done.
I want this band. I want
Has
this.
it never been done?
It's never been done.
Elton John. How old? Oh, you said Elton John wasn't even that old in the '90s. I was gonna say he was.
Elton John was almost a decade younger than Damon
Wow.
Albarn is today. Like
In the 90s.
yeah, when he did the Lion King songs, he was like 46, and Damon Albarn is about to be 55 years old.
Oh yeah, huh?
Well,
there you go.
Yeah.
here's the thing. If
Time moves strange in the internet days.
it does, if it is an age thing, I would like to know what he sounds like, what his classic album is. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Because he's already done the turn from Blur to Gorillaz, and that was a complete 180 switch up for the most part. And I think it's capable of a third act. I think it is.
I think we should also listen to those albums that we missed in the middle.
Oh, I've
Listened to those?
I've listened to them.
Humans and
They're okay.
that,
They're not
yeah.
my favorite thing. Also, listen to The Fall, which was the first
Yep.
iPad album that was like ever majorly released. And again, it's just been kind of like a little bit of a slow decline for me from this 2000s
Hit us with your
period.
rankings. Hit us with a rating here.
All right, here we go. I might disappoint some people. Tell me what you think, guys. This is my honest opinion. I got a 5 on this one. 5.
5.
There's some stuff that's pretty okay on here, but I think it's a lot of
big
middling.
A big 5.
What's yours, Mike?
I'm gonna agree with Pitchfork. I'm gonna call this a 6.5.
Okay.
We'll call
All
it
right.
6.5.
And hey, Damon Albarn, just like you, I am an old man. This is a 7.5 for me.
There you
Okay.
have it. There you have it.
Varied opinions.
A
on this Gorilla
range,
record.
yeah, a range of ratings. I definitely would say though, give
Check
this
it
album, give this album a listen. Tell
you-
us what you think.
and if
I
you
mean, I
did
don't think it's terrible.
disagree with the things I've said, I'm open to criticism. Why do you love it? Why is this a great record? Please tell
Shut
me.
the fuck up. You do not know anything about gorillas or apes or music.
Tell me about it, guys.